In this video, I want to cover how you can use social media to succeed and make more money and just do better in business. And at this time and age, there seems to be a lot of so-called experts and people saying stuff that's not actually true and giving bad advice. So I wanted to give a very minimalistic foundational level of the key things that you should look for and improve on social media with facts as to why. So let's just get started right off the bat. The first big thing is sales. So for business, I think especially all across the board, especially with really big businesses and small businesses, big because they have that money to just throw away, and small because they just don't know any better. They're not seasoned business owners. They waste a decent amount of money on social media sometimes. And what I mean by this is sometimes they will hire a social media manager or someone else and they're just paid, however much, $60,000, whatever per year to just manage social media. And nothing's really tracked, or they're told by experts to track followers or likes or retweets or shares, but they're never really tracked on sales. And ultimately, what could happen is they're just playing around with social media, not doing much, or just posting whatever that they like. And ultimately, you're just throwing away that amount of money per year to pay this person, which could be a huge drain if you want to spend that money as efficiently as possible, or you don't have much money to go about. So, with social media, sales is one of those metrics that's very valuable to measure because it will make you more money so you can put food on the table and keep that business around and not go bankrupt. So one of the most important things that you should track are sales. How does social media translate into a product being sold? Is it doing well? Is it not doing well? And so in order to do that, you have to understand what social media does in the business realm. So there's only a few foundational things that's social media. Again, this is a minimalistic presentation. There's only a few key foundational things that social media can do as far as a business is concerned when you have your own presence. The first is, of course, find customers. So a great example of this would be the YouTube channel AthleanX. It's a fitness channel. And if you look at the channel, every week the owner of this channel, Jeff Cavalier, will post a few YouTube videos. And each of these videos teaches people about something new regarding fitness. And so this is a capture stage thing because people are searching fitness related terms on YouTube. YouTube's the second largest search engine after Google. And it gets a lot of search traffic, and he is capturing new people who have never heard of his brand or his company before, and they're finding his video. So he's acquiring new customers. Of course, it's not all about sales and money and business. I would like to call them friends. He's capturing friends and fans of his brand. This guy is really about building a solid, reputable business, not like other people who on social media, they just try and get that one-off sale and then just run away. So that's one part of social media, capturing that first customer. The second part is overlooked, but also very important, which is nurturing that relationship. I think this is something that's highly overlooked. So most people will not want to buy from you right off the bat, even after watching one video. But when Jeff Cavalier with AthleanX has a suite, a library of hundreds of videos, what often happens on YouTube is if they like your videos and if you do a great job understanding how YouTubers are and what your audience is like, you can get them to watch a lot of your videos. And over time, as they watch numerous videos by you, they will start to trust you more. They will start to like you, understand what you're about, what you can bring value for, and over time, they may start to like you enough to eventually purchase a product. It might not happen in the first day or the first week, but over time, they will start to trust you. Some of them might subscribe or follow you and just watch more and more of your videos over time and trust you even more. Others might be quicker to buy. Again, people differ. So what Jeff Cavalier does at the end of every one of his videos is he points people to his website. And if you go to his website, on the front page, you can purchase different fitness video training packages that teach you about fitness straight from the website. And you just pay digitally, you see it digitally, and it's all online, and you can just pay with a credit card. It's very simple, it's very easy. So just to simplify that again, the whole thing I've talked about so far, videos, people search them, they find those videos on fitness, like how to do a bicep curl, and they discover you, and then if they like you enough, they keep watching your videos and content. They start to trust you, you develop that relationship, and then they purchase. So long story short, in summary, social media does a few things. It can capture new people. Second thing is it can nurture that relationship and get them to trust you and get them to eventually, final thing, purchase a sale. And a sale is probably the biggest thing that you should track in the long term. Again, it will not happen on the first day, but this is trackable, and you want to be a little bit wary if someone says, "Oh, you can't track that. It's too long of a process." It can be tracked for the most part, and if you want to avoid waste and inefficiency in terms of, paying someone a ton of money and not getting results, that's one of those things. So what you can see with Jeff Cavalier and Athlean-X, his fitness company, is that the whole system, the whole process is built out. So, he already has a product to sell and everything else. If you only have a part of that, I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, you can't really track it. And on top of that, it's just, you don't know what's working and what's not. So keep those things in mind. And of course, other things, like people will say, oh, you should look at likes, followers, engagement, how many comments you're getting, and how many views you get. Those things are important, but a lot of them can be gamed. What I mean by that is they can be tricked by just getting fake followers. So if you just do a follow for follow technique, which pretty much means you spam follow random people, hoping that a percentage of them will follow you back, you're getting low quality followers who aren't relevant. They won't follow your content. They're not interested in what you do. Or a lot of people will buy fake followers. They'll get a computer programmer to create 100,000 fake Twitter accounts or Instagram accounts. And they'll all be fake comments. And then you can tell because each time you post a new photo on Instagram, you get one like. And this is notorious on Google Plus as well. So it's one of those things that can be gamed. Of course, ultimately, you want to look at actual real customer engagement. So again, if you post a video or a photo or a tweet and a good percentage of the feedback is positive, and it's a large percentage, and you can tell it's a genuine comment because it's long and detailed and personable, not just cool photo, you can kind of start to see that maybe it's not gamed. Maybe these aren't programs or bots who are posting fake comments or sharing this, or fake followers. So that's one great way of telling if it's really every single video you post or every single tweet or whatever else, you get a lot of engagement, a lot of likes, and a lot of genuine comments, and so forth. It's possibly most likely real. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So now let's move on to the other things you can do with social media. I just want to touch on a couple of the other foundational things you can do. I've already highlighted the big things, but I want to just touch on a few of the other important things you can do outside of those things. And these are just important to understand, but I've already touched on the foundation. So one thing you can do outside of what I've talked about is build goodwill. So with social media, you can build goodwill, and goodwill is important because what it is it will help you in the long run if you're a business and you're trying to make ends meet and make some money, make more money through more sales in the long run. Now, how does this work? It's the same way that building a relationship helps, but goodwill is different in the sense that you're doing something that helps them and develops that relationship so much that they're willing to buy much more with you than any of your competitors, much more than they would have before you did that thing, and really create a relationship that allows that customer to spend more money with you later on. And it's the thing that allows someone to buy a Hershey's bar for 5 times the price versus just a store brand chocolate bar. Same thing that causes See's candy to be sold for so much longer versus a random chocolate bar from some random store. Same thing that causes people to buy Coca-Cola or Sprite versus some random store brand Coca-Cola, despite the fact that Sprite and Coca-Cola cost a lot more sometimes than store brand Coca-Cola, and every experimental double-blind taste test shows that store brand Coca-Cola tastes just as good, if not better, than Coca-Cola or Sprite. So how does that occur? It's a bit of brand development, and it's one of those things that it's tougher to measure. So my recommendation, it gets in the foggy water because, yeah, you want to be efficient, and this is one of those places where hucksters or scammers or people who are social media experts might trick you and say, oh, this is brand development, give me your money so I can develop your brand and manage your social media for I would suggest the best way of being efficient at this is you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this well. I mean, look to play smart. There are efficient ways where you can do it for free and just go above and beyond to help that customer or develop that relationship or do something that really builds that brand and shows that, wow, this is an incredible brand. They really care about me. They have great customer service or whatever else. So I think a great example of this would be Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift is a musician, and she's one of the most followed people on Instagram and Twitter with tens of millions of followers. Now, if you just Google what Taylor Swift does for her fans, she has done numerous things, but I just want to list out a few of them here. She's done tons of things for her fans, and it just shows you how you can build goodwill. For instance, she has sent custom fan care packages to each of her fans, just showing her appreciation. Maybe for you, that just means writing a well thought out letter. So you don't have to spend a ton of money, but it's showing that you will go above and beyond what the typical person does. Another thing she has done is she has personally paid for a ticket for a fan who missed a flight to one of her concerts. Another thing she does out of her own free time, because she loves to do it, is she studies the Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr accounts of her fans. And she finds her super fans, the ones who are just in love with her, and she stalks them on those platforms, which they post publicly on, so it's legal to stalk them. And she figures out how they live, what they do, and then she does something above and beyond. Like she'll actually meet up with one of her fans and track them down just to talk with that person. Sometimes this one time she waited out in the cold for 20 hours to meet one of her fans and surprise them doing this. And she's done numerous things, like she paid off a student fan's loan, and she made the number that she paid it off $1,989 to signify that this is her because her album is 1989. So of course there's hundreds of things. I suggest you look it up on Google as well, but there's hundreds of things she's done. She's invited a super fan to her house to perform just live in person. She watches the music videos they make. You get the point. There's hundreds of things she does. Some of them cost money, others not so much. So think of that personal touch. A great example of personal touch that doesn't cost money would be Riot Games. Riot Games is a company that is behind the largest video game and largest esports game in modern times, League of Legends, that gets millions of players and is a very fast growing industry, and it's growing and huge and exploding. And with their customer support, they oftentimes go above and beyond. So rather than just sending a cliche plain text response back via email for customer support complaints, their emails will often go above and beyond. Sometimes they'll have songs, sometimes they'll have custom graphics with inside jokes tailored to customer service. Sometimes they'll write poems, letters, songs back to their customers just to show going above and beyond. And ultimately, what all this does is it builds that goodwill and ultimately creates great loyalty and service. And that will lead to more sales in the long run. They're more willing to spend with you, they're loyal to you, and they're really the champion for your company and brand. So, with this type of thing, it's something that's maybe a bit tough to track, but again, keep it to something that is efficient, and you don't have to spend that much money. Again, it's something that it could be the simplest of things. She gave her fans, Taylor Swift, Chipotle, which is like $10-20. She would literally show up and pay for Chipotle for some of her fans. And what social media does is it amplifies these messages. Before the internet, I mean, if something really good or bad happens, I mean, at best, that person would have told her 5 or 10 or 20 friends and family, and a portion of them may have just sworn off that company or brand and never bought from them again if something really bad happened. Nowadays, with the internet, it has served to amplify messages. So if something really, really good or really, really bad happens to a customer, you should be scared, because you don't know if that customer has 1,000 followers, 200 followers, 1 million followers on YouTube or Twitter, and that message can go out to 1 million people and amplify that message. And as we've seen in the last 10 years, this has happened numerous times. Iggy Azalea, a very famous rapper, she got mistreated by a pizza delivery guy who saw her phone number on the pizza delivery report and leaked that. Iggy went on a rampage on Twitter to millions of fans, and she sent out like 30 plus tweets in a row complaining about this pizza delivery service. And I would say the only winner would be DiGiorno's, the frozen pizza delivery. It's not a pizza delivery service. It's a frozen pizza company who's a competitor to this pizza service. And basically they just tweeted back, you should have bought DiGiorno's, which is their tagline. And maybe they got some goodwill and a few laughs from that. And everyone else, all the other pizza companies, or at least the one that delivered that, suffered. And they got a lot of negative press. This happens all the time. And the worse the customer service or event that occurred, the higher chance it could be amplified and go viral. So again, this has happened numerous times with package delivery services where they deliver stuff from Amazon and they mistreat the package and they just throw it over the wall, and maybe a security camera captures that and it gets posted on YouTube and goes viral and millions of people see it. Or it could be something as simple as maybe an altercation at an airplane. This has happened. Again, I'm not naming companies, but these are big airport companies. These airplanes, basically what happened was this flight stewardess severely mistreated a flight guest there and kicked her off the plane. This whole thing was recorded on someone's phone. Nowadays, everyone has phones, and it takes like a couple taps of your finger to upload this thing onto YouTube. and a few more to upload it onto Reddit and everywhere else. And this thing went viral because she was very severely mistreated, and that got amplified to millions of people. So out of 1 million people, maybe 10,000 of them, maybe 1,000 of them might swear off ever going back to your business or company. But that's a lot more than it was in days of past where that wasn't even possible. And nowadays with the internet, like forget social media, you have review sites like Yelp that will review your business. So if someone had a bad event, they will negatively review that. But it's not all gloom and doom, because the opposite can occur too, especially for bigger businesses. If something really good happens, the flip side can occur. So it amplifies on both ways. So if you do something incredibly good and you go above and beyond, that can be amplified virally on social media as well. So if you go above and beyond for a customer, they can share that. And a lot of people will say, wow, this company really goes above and beyond and does great things. And it gets shared on Reddit and everywhere else, and everyone loves them. A great example would be Google Fiber. So this is a company by Google, and basically they're trying to get into the internet business. And the internet business, it's notorious for horrible customer support. Everyone hates Comcast. There's always jokes on the internet about how bad Comcast customer service is. And Google is just rolling it out very slowly and strategically, and just like taking a whole new spin to it. And people are loving it. I mean, it's going viral. It has been going viral for years on Reddit and other platforms. And they'll do simple things as when they roll into a new neighborhood, they will send flowers to each house with a customized note, like a bouquet of flowers. That gets posted, that picture gets posted and shared, and it grows on Reddit and so forth. And guess what happens? People love it, and more people find out about it, and this goodwill and reputation starts spreading, and people start saying, why won't Google Fiber come to us? I hate Comcast. That's a huge threat to Comcast, and that's a huge value for Google Fiber. So you can see how this works. And nowadays, almost everyone has some type of presence. Maybe I would say for most people, they have 100 followers on Twitter or less. So it's not much, but at the very least, they have a Facebook account, and they have at least a couple hundred people on Facebook. And if they post a status, they will reach a few people. And it's so easy to do nowadays. Everyone has a smartphone or mobile phone these days, and they can so easily just pick it up, record what's going on, and in a couple taps, before you can stop them, it's on the internet and so forth, and it's just shared. And if it's really, really good, many social media platforms, especially Facebook, naturally has an inborn built-in function to share that message. So again, going viral is very, very tough to do, but you have to be careful nowadays, because every bad thing or every good thing you do, there's always that chance, especially if it's really bad or really good, it can be amplified. And you never know, that next person, that next customer that walks into your restaurant could be someone who has 5 million followers on Twitter. And you best believe that influencer network is growing. There's at least 1,600 people who have at least 1 million subscribers on YouTube alone. And that number is growing daily. So keep those things in mind and be careful of that message. And of course, the final thing, I guess, that you can do with social media is customer support. So customer support is something that's really big on social media, and it makes sense. Basically, if you have a large presence on there, or if you have a large company, people are just on social media anyways. So it's much easier for them to just type in their complaint and hit enter, rather than pick up the phone or a yellow book and then call up someone on social media or a company and say, call them and complain. So a lot of companies, they think that they're hitting all of their customer support complaints, but I've seen it all across the board from really big companies to really small ones. They have very clear complaints or requests on their Facebook page or wherever else, and they're getting ignored. They're not even getting a response. And some of those responses are more difficult, but some are very simple, like, hey, this thing's not working out. Do you know how to fix it? Or I lost my password. You're doing a great disservice if you are missing those. I mean, it's simple, and those small things can add up. I mean, in the short term, it might not be a big deal, but like if that person keeps asking stuff and you're just missing the ball and not helping them, over time they're going to be like, this business isn't that great. Or at least if you go above and beyond and you actually answer all those and say, hey, you have someone there, especially if you're a really big business, to answer those things on Twitter and Facebook, they will start to notice. They'll be like, wow, I didn't even think I would get a response, but I did, and you helped me solve my problem. Wow, you're really there for me. So that's the last thing that's really huge for social media. So in conclusion, if you forgot everything I said, in summary, social media really can do three big things. It's there to entertain, teach, or emotionally relate. 99% of the stuff on YouTube, that's basically why it's there. It's to teach. So in Jeff Cavalier's case, with Athlete X, it's simply to teach about fitness. Almost any video can be categorized into those categories. To teach, to entertain, like music videos, comedies, skits, whatever. That's to entertain. And then to emotionally relate would simply be like a pregnancy video, or someone lost their father. It's emotional and they relate. So those are the big reasons why people are on social media. Others are just like community and so forth. But understand that and realize that social media, of those three, those can be used to achieve objectives. Now, those objectives, once again, are to get sales in the short term and in the long run, customer support, to build and nurture the relationship with your fans or customers or friends, and eventually get them to buy. And then the last thing is customer support. And finally, realize that your message can be amplified. So make sure you're on the good side of that, which is the good side of amplification, where you do something so great that your fans just socially share your message more and more. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you, but I guess the final last thing that you can do with social is, let's say you don't want to build out your own Instagram page or Twitter page or social media page, because that's very tough to do and it takes a lot of resources sometimes. Another thing that's more direct that you can do is simply buy ads through social media. I mean, most people are on there anyways. So one direct way is to simply go through YouTube itself, and you can just upload videos and make them ads. You can go through Instagram itself. They have an Instagram ad network, Facebook ad network. So that's the more formal way of doing it. Another way of doing it is going directly to the influencer and bypassing the network or platform that it's on. So by doing this, especially with smaller influencers who are young and just getting started, you can oftentimes get a maybe cheaper rate. More importantly, I would say sometimes even better than that is realizing that you can get a more personable, creative, and more in tune with their audience in product ad placements. So the YouTube culture, for instance, is very specific, and they know their fans, they know how to talk to them, they know inside jokes and so forth. So with a YouTube ad, going through the ad network, I mean, it could be very formal and, might not make sense, or it might just be too corporate for the audience. And oftentimes it's forced. They don't want to see it, but it's there. Other than that, what you can do is do something more native and feel good by approaching that YouTuber who makes those videos, or that Instagram model or person on Facebook, and you get them to do their own custom thing. They plug you and they actually like your product, and it's more of a relationship thing because the audience will love it better and they'll understand it more. So keep those things in mind, and uh, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. Hopefully I didn't get too confusing. I tried to keep it as simple as I could, but um, it ended up being a bit more complicated. I'm a little concerned that the last point I made might have been really confusing, but I just want to give you an example just to clear things up. So the last example would be probably Superwoman. So she has like millions of followers on YouTube. She did a in product placement with Coca-Cola. So she does her own creative skits and she's really in tune with her audience, and she was paid by Coca-Cola. At that level, you might have to pay a lot to get her, but she did her own little skit with Coca-Cola, and it was so much better than having like a forced ad placement like buy Coca-Cola, because it's in her voice, in her style, and it's in tune with her audience, and she endorses it herself, so her audience is more likely to accept it. And of course, just realize that it's not that simple. Like, some influencers, they really want to take care of their audience more than being a sellout for the money. And they know that because in the long run, they will lose their audience if they sell out and do too much product placements. So for YouTubers and people like that, they have to really like your product sometimes. They're not just going to promote anything as well. So keep those things in mind. And I guess that's a great example of social media product placement. And I think it's not really called product placement. It can be a sponsored post or sponsored video. There's different terms for it. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.